Hey there, everyone. I'm Eddie O'Donnell here at Snow Joe, and today we have a tool school lesson for everyone out there. We want to show off one of the cool tools that we have in our lineup here that gets you working in the yard and garden faster when it comes to using your chainsaw. So, we're going to talk a little bit here today about how we sharpen our chainsaws. Now, I've worked with chainsaws a lot in my life. I used to work as an arborist, I've worked with a lot of different chainsaws over time, and I can tell you right now, one of the most important things overall is that a sharp chainsaw is a safe chainsaw. So sharp is safe, dull is dangerous. We're going to show you today how to sharpen up with our cordless saw sharpener right here. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that, folks. So welcome in. We're here on YouTube as well as on TikTok. Go ahead and throw up some likes if you're enjoying anything that you're seeing right there. Be sure definitely to ask any questions if you have in that comment section. We love hearing from you, folks. If you're not following us already on both of these channels, for example, if you're on YouTube with the Go With Joe channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're on TikTok, make sure you're following us here at Snowjoe Co. And vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to TikTok and follow us at Snowjoe Co. And if you're on TikTok and you're wanting to take a look at some of the YouTube videos that we're working on there, be sure to subscribe to the Go With Joe channel on YouTube there. I see Sarianis in the chat there. Hello, welcome into the show. Thank you so much for saying hi. Really do appreciate everyone saying hi in the chat there. So come on, say I want to hear more from you, folks. Always love hearing from you. If you have any questions about what we're going to talk about today when it comes to getting your chainsaw sharp, feel free to throw it down in the chat there. We love hearing from you. We love hearing from you in the comment section there. And don't be afraid to hit that like button. Don't be afraid to smash all those hearts there on TikTok or throw a thumbs up for YouTube here. Now, what we have in front of us here is a little bit of gear that we're going to talk about when it comes to sharpening up. So, for example, obviously, I have a chainsaw right here. We're going to take a look at pulling off the bar and chain here, and of course, taking that chain out and bringing it into a space where we can get things nicely sharpened up here. And some of the things that we want to focus on when we're sharpening our chains and what the chain is all about. What is the deal? What's on the chain with this saw right here? Electric scooter in the chat there. Now you're curious. That's awesome to hear there. If you're curious about how to sharpen chainsaws, this is the place to be right now. So we're going to take a look at. I know I'm sure everyone out there, you're curious as soon as I drop this chainsaw right in front of me right here. We're talking about chainsaws. That's going to get everybody lit up there, I hope. So we're going to talk about a little bit about chainsaws in general first. We're going to start off talking about when you're using your chainsaw, what happens over time. So what we have on this chainsaw is essentially a little bit of chain right here on the bar that we have of our saw, and that carries all these little teeth on it. And this chainsaw right here is our 24V-10CS, our 10-inch chainsaw here. So a powerful little compact beast here. Now the reason I'm picking this chainsaw to sharpen up here is that we only have 10 inches of bar and chain to sharpen up as opposed to something longer like our 16 or 18-inch bar and chains that we have out there. Now, when it comes to a chainsaw like this, when you're using this, the biggest danger for getting the chain dull overall is cutting into the dirt. So we think about it this way. We're using our chainsaw out in the yard and garden. We may be cutting down, let's say we're cutting down branches. We're not really in much danger there of dulling that saw unless we hit anything, in the tree. A lot of times there are bits and bobs of either very hard wood in the tree or things like, like little bits of leftover nail and stuff like that that people have used to hang stuff in trees over time. All that stuff becomes something that you can hit eventually, and that causes some damage. Sometimes you get embedded rocks in there, and that is what tends to dull our chainsaw most of the time. Other than, and this is sort of the most important thing for everyone out there, when you're using your saw, you really don't want the chain to hit the dirt. So a lot of times, let's say you've got a branch on the ground, you got some logs on the ground, and you're cutting through that. Well, what can happen right there is that chain can dig into the dirt underneath that, and that dirt will immediately dull your chain because that chain is spinning around very fast. Every single tooth on that chain, and that's sort of the way this works here. And we'll take a close up look here at what the saw looks like. But every single tooth on that saw is going to get dull almost immediately by doing that. And the reason that it's important to sort of stay away from that is because cutting with a dull chainsaw is always a bad idea. The saw begins to pull, the saw begins to take over. Rather than cutting, it starts trying to grab onto things and pull you around, pull you in one direction, pull you another direction, and cause a lot of sort of bad things to happen over time, which is why we want to make sure everyone out there that keep their chainsaw sharp. Now, when it comes to your chainsaw, a lot of folks have a lot of different theories about how they keep them sharp. Some folks out there are just, hey, buy 3 or 4 different chains, always have them ready to go, and bring them back to the hardware store to get them sharpened up. And that is a fine way to do it if that's something that you don't mind doing. But that's a lot of hassle for a lot of us out there. Now, the other way that a lot of people do it, they grab round files, they've got hand files, they get in there with their files, and that's great. That's a great way to do it in general, but it takes a really, really long time. So what we have right here is our 24-volt chainsaw sharpener that we have here. Now, this is a cordless solution, meaning it runs off of batteries here. We're not worried about gas or anything like that. We're not worried about needing a cord to plug in. We don't have to go back to our workshop when we're sharpening with that. So when we're sharpening that saw up in the yard and garden there, we can stay out there. We can get sharp wherever we want. And that's something that I love here. So runs off of our cordless battery system, gives us that easy sharpening that we're always looking for. Now we're going to take a little look at how easy this is to work here and how easy it is to sharpen up this saw in general. Now let's take a quick close-up look, and I mean a real close-up here on those teeth there on the bar and chain, because really what we want to see is what we're dealing with here shape-wise and why this chainsaw sharpener right here is a really good help here. So you can see on that chain there are all these little teeth, and these teeth go back and forth. So this one's angled this way, and this one here is angled that way. And again, this one's this way, and this one's that way. And it's sort of every other tooth there, right? So there's a tooth here, then there's a gap here with what we call a raker, and there's another tooth there, and there's another gap here with what we call a raker. These little teeth here, these little parts of the teeth here, or the parts of the chain here that are just flat bits, these flat bits are just there to help remove dust from your cut, because as this is cutting through something, and the inside of this is what's sharp here. So normally you'd have to get in there with a bit of a round file. What I can do is I can show this off here a little bit with a Sharpie here. But the tooth there is actually sort of conical on the inside there. So you can see that sort of the tip of the Sharpie sort of fits in there. And that's that conical shape. And that's what's doing the cutting there. So that's tearing through that wood. And as you get that dust buildup here, that's going to let these little raker teeth, that's what these are called here, break that down and pull that through. So really important to have those there, to have these little other bits and bobs here. You see you have other parts of your raker right here, these little nibs over here as well. And it's important to sort of take care of all of this, but really our chainsaw sharpener is about getting this part here, this part of the tooth sharp. Now, when this is dull, this is a really great when this is dull, this is a really easy setup here to get things sharpened up again. Normally, like I said, when it comes to sharpening up your chainsaw, a lot of times what ends up happening is you have to go back in by hand and sharpen things up, and it takes a long time doing that. And you also have to keep an eye on every single one here. We're going to show you exactly how easy it can be with our chainsaw sharpener here. Now, I see Electric Scooter in the chat here with a couple other questions here. I say, a new electric lawnmower, you sell them in, do we have electric lawnmowers in stores? I believe we do have some electric lawnmowers. We have a lot of different electric lawnmowers all about. If you ever want to check out any of the stock that we have, you can always head over to snowjoe.com. And on every page for each one of those lawnmowers, you can head over to, there's a section at the bottom of each page for each of those lawnmowers, and there's a section called where to buy. So that's a great way to check out, where you can get certain things if you're looking for stuff in certain stores there. That's a great feature on our website. So you head over to snowjoe.com, you're looking up a lawnmower, you're looking up something like our 24VX2 17LM. You can look that up in our sort of Snow Joe page there, and then you can click over to that lawnmower that you're looking for, and then scroll down to the bottom. There'll be a little section that says where to buy, and it'll show you all the different places that you can purchase that lawnmower. And some of those stores which have physical retail locations, you'll be able to hop in there and see, hey, do they have it in stock at the one near me? That's a pretty nifty tool that we have there with our where to buy section. So glad you asked about that, Electric Scooter. Thanks for the question there, particularly if you're looking for that lawnmower there. And hey, throw us a like if that helped you. Glad to see that it helped you there. Hopefully that's an easy way to figure out where everything is. But throw us a like. We appreciate those likes there. To everyone else, if you're enjoying everything that you're seeing here, feel free to throw up some likes. Don't forget, follow us here on TikTok. Don't forget, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube as well. If you're watching on YouTube, we are the Go with Joe channel on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe there, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you're having fun here. Actually, this goes both ways here. For everyone on TikTok, head over to YouTube, and everyone on YouTube, head over to TikTok. Follow us at Snow Joe Co at TikTok, or Go with Joe channel on YouTube there. But let's take a look here. So, all right, I've got the chainsaw right here, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how we take the chain off to begin with here. So let's see. we're gonna grab the wrench that comes with this saw right here to help take everything apart. And that's a wrench that just looks like this. Essentially, what this is going, this comes in the kit here with the saw. All we have to do here is undo these two bolts at the front of the saw here that hold everything in place. So very easy to do there. So we'll start undoing this right here. Now I see in the chat here, electric scooter saying about 5,000 square feet for your yard. So yeah, in that case, 17 LM, 24 VX2, 17 LM. That's going to be a really, really good lawnmower for you to take a look at right there. That's a nice and lightweight lawnmower. Is your lawn mostly flat? Because that's going to be that's just another one of those questions that's easy to ask as well. If your lawn's mostly flat and you're not worried about a very, very lightweight lawnmower, you want something that can do a little more work. We also have our 24VX2 21LMSP. That's a self-propelled lawnmower. So our 17-inch lawnmower isn't self-propelled because it's so lightweight, it's so compact, it's relatively easy to push along. But you move up to a 21-inch lawnmower, we have one that has a self-propulsion behind it, and it's all powered up by our battery system. So the same batteries that I'm actually talking about powering up all the tools that we have here, our chainsaw sharpener, this chainsaw itself, for example, will power up that lawnmower. Maybe that's the one that you want to take a look at there. Let me know if you want me to tell you that the codes there again, because I'll happily let you know about all the different ones that we have in the lineup here. Now you can take a look here. So I've taken that cap off, just a couple of bolts here. So very, very easy here in general. And you can see the whole mechanism of the way that the chainsaw works on the inside here. So essentially, it's going to be a couple of different main components here. You've got two guide rods right here. This is what everything clamps onto. You have one rod down right here, this little guy here, and that gives us that nice control for the position of the bar and chain there. And of course, we're going to wiggle past that, and that can pull the entire bar off here. And now we can get the entire chain out. And you can see here, relatively easy to pull this off. We'll slide this all off here. And imagine, you're doing this out in the field. This is very quick and easy for getting that chain removed there. So we pull that off there. We're going to bring our bar and chain. We're going to put that off the side there. We don't necessarily need to look at this much longer while we're sharpening everything up here. Now, one thing to note when you're dealing with your chainsaw chain here is that you can have different chains. You might have chains that have different what we call cutting patterns, different angles for different things. So you have those different settings in your chainsaw sharpener that'll help with that. And we'll take a look at what that all means here in terms of how they affect your cut when those angles change. This is a freshly sharpened blade chain that we have right here. I'm just gonna keep that off the side there, just in case I want to load that in. But that's a nice demonstration of what a chain looks like there. All right, so I see electric scooter says, oh, you've got dogs that have dug up holes pretty bad from the dogs there. Okay, so if your pooches are digging up holes, as long as everything's relatively flat, I would recommend the 21LM just because it is a little bit bigger. That 21-inch lawnmower is going to cover a little bit more ground. 5,000 square feet. You're not talking about a ton there, but the 21-inch lawnmower is going to cover up a little more. Anything to make the work a little easier on my end. 21 inches wide, that's going to trim up a lot more there, and you're not going to really worry about getting dug into those dog holes there. So hopefully that works out for you. Oh, we got our Bliss Hammocks in the chat there saying so cool. That's awesome. Appreciate the likes coming in there. Everyone else, they're throwing those likes, and folks on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. We always appreciate that here. Now, all right, so now I've got the chain off of our chainsaw here, and we're going to begin to dive into taking a look at how we get this nice and ready to use again here. Now, generally speaking, when you're dealing with your chains and your chainsaws, it is smart to wear gloves. I've done this a lot in my life, so I'm not always grabbing the gloves every single time there. I'm usually pretty careful. I know the sharp parts, but for everyone out there, it is really important. When you're dealing with the sharp bits on your chain, and particularly when we plug this in to the grinder right here, gloves are going to be important to protect your fingers, particularly when it comes to all those sharp bits there. So just make sure to protect yourself. Make sure to take care of yourself while you're working with that chain. Make sure to have some safety glasses around as well, particularly when you're sharpening up with that chainsaw sharpener. That's always important as well. You want to protect your eyes. This does have a guard built in, but there's nothing ever more important than being safe while you're doing the work here. Let's see. Scooter in the chat there saying, electric scooter saying, I had 721 LM. Did you have 17 17 or did you have 21? Let us know in the chat. We'll always want to make sure that we have the if you just had 21 LM, check out there's 21 LM SP, which is the self-propelled version. Maybe that'll help you out with anything that you're focusing on there. But if that's something that you're interested in, let us know. Let us know what you need there. Now let's take a look right over here at the chainsaw sharpener because we do have a great setup with this sharpener. We can take a look at some of the features that this has built into it and why we're going to gravitate towards this over anything else. So you can see here that I've got this screwed to a base here. Now this has a nice sort of drop system. This is kind of like what you would imagine. I think a lot of folks out there know what a chop saw is. This is exactly like that, except instead of a saw on the end here, we have a grinding wheel. This is a 100 grit aluminum oxide grinding disc here that's going to scrape everything up. That's going to sharpen everything up. So this is a really great, easy setup that you have right there to get that grinding done quickly, but also give you a nice sharp edge here. Now with this too, we have a powerful 65-watt motor in here that powers everything up there. It's going to be really relatively easy to set things up here. Now you can see, as I said, I clamped this to a couple of pieces of wood here. Now there are little screw holes in the side here, little bolt holes in the side, just like that. Now the reason I clamped this down here into this piece here is because I want to clamp this to my table. And the reason that I want to clamp this to the table here is that, when I'm out in the woods, for example, I know I can clamp this to a log or something like that. And I like having that capability to choose what I'm going to clamp it to. So having that nice board underneath it here with that little ledge that it has there that kind of holds it in place, I think that's really nice overall to be able to clamp it, to be able to screw it down into things here. So this is just a really nifty little tip here because, if you have a couple extra boards lying around, now you can clamp it to your table. Now you can clamp it to whatever work surface you have, whether you're out in the woods or not. So nice to have that there. Now, the main part of this is going to be the vise right here. This is this section here, which has a little knob underneath it. And that knob allows you to swivel this back and forth. Now, this is going to allow you to control the angle of your teeth. And on your chainsaw, remember, those teeth are ground at opposing angles. So we need to have that available to us. So we've got that nice little capability there. We actually have markers on here to tell us 30 degrees, up to 35 degrees in either direction there. So we do have that little information there. Oh, I see. Electric Scooter said, "Oh, I had 7 doggos digging at the same time." So yeah, if it's relatively flat, aside from the 7 doggos digging around, which that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm always happy to hang out with the pooches there. But yeah, 7 doggos is definitely a lot there. If you've got a relatively flat, long 21 LM, I think that's gonna be the one for you. So definitely check that out. You can yeah, I know I already directed you over to snowjoe.com. If you just look up 21 LM, you'll be able to find it. There's a couple of different models of it. One with a self propulsion, one that is just push. Either one I think will suit you perfectly there and help you out with your lawn there. And yeah, the 7 doggies digging a lot of holes there. I'm sure that can be a bit of a minefield, but it sounds like fun. So yeah, appreciate you asking the questions there. Now, all right, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna drop in the chain to our little sharpener here, so we can show you exactly how I set up for the correct angle of sharpening here. So I'm gonna try and do a little demonstration from behind here. So what we do here is the bottom of the chain. This is the part that goes into your bar right there. This little toothy section down here is going to slot into this double plate here. These are 2 metal plates here, and you want to slot this in between there, just like that, just as if you were slotting it into the bar on your chainsaw. In fact, actually, you know what? I've got this facing the wrong way. I'm going to spin that around. You want to make sure, just so you don't do what I just did right there, that the faces of each tooth, and that's the inside of the tooth where we put our Sharpie earlier, want to make sure that that is in the same plane as the grinding disc here. So as I bring this down, it should face the same way there. And the way that I always set up my chainsaw sharpener is I always generally want to match what the chain normally has on it. So this chain here sharpened to about 30 degrees right here in terms of the angle that it's ground at, in terms of this direction here. And all I really need to check from there is the depth. I need to be going a little bit deeper, than what's already there, because I need to create a new fresh surface. And that's what sharpening is all about. The grinder right here creates a new fresh surface that's going to reveal that sharpened edge. And essentially all I have to do here is adjust this angle and position the tooth where I want it here. And once I get the angle matched up the way that I want it, I can adjust the depth here. Now, all of the angles and adjustments here are done with these locking knobs. Underneath here, we do our base left and right adjustment with that locking knob. Here, we have our chain stop, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. But on the back of the On the back of our chainsaw sharpener right here, we've also got a depth stop, and that's done with this locking knob here. So I can adjust things up and down with the top knob, and this bottom knob here locks everything in place. So depending on what I've picked right there, that'll have locked everything in place there. So let me get nice and tight in on this. I'm gonna get close to it. And this is the thing, you want to get pretty close. You want to make sure you can see exactly where you're hitting with that chainsaw sharpener. Make sure you're getting that chain properly sharpened here. Now, got this pretty much in the right position here. Doing this from behind. In fact, I'm going to come around and make sure that it looks all good from the front here, which is where you're going to be doing it from. You'll be probably around here taking a look at this here. So I'm going to drop that chain down, or drop that sharpener down there. Keep an eye here. What I'm looking for is for the disc of this sharpener to sort of fill that conical gap there. So that's done it right about there. So if I like that position of the gap there that I'm taking up there, I'm going to lock that position underneath here. Get that nice and tightened up there. And I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to make sure that I'm bottoming out at the base of the chain here. And I'm just going to, again, I'm going to get close to it. I want to look at it. I want to see where I'm hitting with that chainsaw sharpener. All right, yeah, it looks like I'm just about to bottom out there. So give that a nice lock up top there. So that's been set up in that way here. Now the chain can still float here back and forth like this, and we don't want that here. What we want to do is we want to lock everything in place with this handle here. That locks that chain in place there. But we don't want to make sure, we want to make sure that we're not just getting this tooth right. We're getting every single tooth on this side correct here. So let's take a look here. I'm going to drop this back down into that chain. I'm going to pull this tight up. So I'm going to pull that way. I'm going to pull that direction there and make sure everything's nice and tight up against that grinding wheel here. And then what I'll do here is I will lock everything in place just like so. I'm going to double check it, make sure that's in the right place there. And then what I'll do is I'll drop this over. And this is that chain stop here. So here's what's going to happen now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this until it flops behind the chain here, adjust it forward here till it's right up tight there, lock it in place at the second knob right there. So that's nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. And now what happens is that when I want to sharpen this chain, when I want to move on to the next tooth, all I have to do, instead of trying to do all that again every single time, and this is what makes this so faster, I can just pull on the chain, take a look at this. This is nice and easy. Slide. And you see how that runs under? Found the next tooth that I want to sharpen. It's going to drop back, pull it back up against it. I know I'm in the right place and I can lock it in space there. So very, very easy to adjust everything there. Now, here's a quick tip for you. When it comes to making sure that the grinding disc is properly hitting the tooth there, here's what I like to see. If I pull the grinding disc down, just like that, right on the tip of the tooth here, and this is going to be quite hard for anyone out there to see, and maybe I should be able to bring this up for everyone to see here. I'll just unclamp this here. But essentially, that grinding disc should very barely sort of, and let's see if we can focus on that right there. So very barely touch the edge of that tooth. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of dust on that tooth from the grinding disc. The grinding disc itself is red, or a little brownish red right there, reddish brown, I should say. And that shows up on the edge of that tooth there ever so slightly. And the reason is that when I push this down, it grinds up against it just a little bit. And that's exactly what we want to see. That way we know we're making contact at the most important part of the tooth, which is that sort of top part of the tooth there, keeping everything sharp. So let me clamp everything back down here because we want everything stable while we're using this here. So clamp that down there. Clamp this down over here. All right, we're ready. We're ready to sharpen this one tooth here. And remember, we're going to sharpen all the way across this side here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip this around here to the other side there to get everything else sharpened there. So that's going to be an easy way to do this. Electric Scooter in the chat there asking about, I love a cordless lawnmower. Yeah, so the one that I would recommend is 24V-X2-21LM. You can, if you head over to snowjoe.com and take a look at that one, I think that'll be the answer for you for the lawnmower that you're looking for. If I didn't mention that earlier. Question about, is it easy to take batteries out and recharge and put back in? Absolutely. In fact, we can take a look at that right here because we are going to talk about batteries for this. So for example, In our lineup, we have a couple of different 24-volt batteries in terms of their size. So, different sizes and capabilities here. So, for example, this is our 2 amp hour battery right here. So, nice and lightweight. That's what's going to plug into the back right over here. For the lawnmower that you're asking about there, electric scooter, 4 amp hour battery right here from our 24-volt lineup. It's going to be the way to go. These are interchangeable. They'll work with both tools here, but this is going to be what comes with your lawnmower. It's going to come with two of these. Two of these batteries are going to stack in front of each other. They're going to slot into a compartment up on the top of that lawnmower there to power everything up. So very, very easy to plug in. And then, of course, with your charger for that lawnmower right there, it's going to come with a dual port charger. So that's going to be a charger just like this. This has 2 ports in it. As you can see right here, very easy to slide that charger in here. So all you have to do, slot that into the groove there, lock that in place. There's another port here for a second battery, because that lawnmower comes with 2 batteries right there. There we go. There we go. You get that double slot action right there to charge up both batteries at the same time. So it's not a sequential charger. It charges them both up at the same time, keeping things pretty easy there. So hopefully that helps you out there. Again, the model that I think you want to look for is 24V-X2 21LM. That's a great lawnmower right there, and it's gonna get a lot done for you. Now, speaking of powering up with that 24-volt battery, I do have our 24-volt battery right here. Remember, in terms of our ecosystem here, this is the same battery that runs that 10-inch chainsaw that we were just playing around with moments ago. So this is a great way to power this tool up. The same way that we're powering up our chainsaw, we're powering up this amazing chainsaw sharpener here. So electric scooter, yes, 21LM is the last part of it. The whole thing is 24V dash 24V-X2 17L or 21LM. Sorry, pardon me for misspeaking there. 24V-X2 21LM. If you head over to snowjoe.com and type into the search bar 21LM, it'll be one of the first ones that comes up there for you. You'll be able to take a look. They have 21LM or 21LM SP. Both of those lawnmowers are essentially the same. One is going to have a self-propulsion motor in it if you want that function in that mower there. So you can definitely take a look at them there. You can definitely look up through the mowers section at snowjoe.com and take a look at the different options that you have right there. We have a few different options for you, but because you were talking about a relatively flat lawn, even though it has a few doggy potholes in it. I think that that's going to be a wonderful lawnmower for your needs there. And it's going to give you plenty of runtime with the 24-volt battery. So you're not dealing with a cord. You've got that 48-volt solution at your fingertips there with that amazing lawnmower. So yeah, 21LM is the last part of it. The first part is 24V-X2-21LM. That's the whole thing right there. Alrighty, now when it comes to powering this up right here with the battery, all I have to do is slide this into the back. There's a port on the back of our chainsaw sharpener right here that I slot this into here. So a little receiver there for the 24-volt battery. Lock that right in place. You can see the battery right there. And now I'm ready to turn this on and get grinding here. And again, when it comes to using this grinder here, if you want to protect your eyes for sure, I highly recommend wearing eye protection while you're using this grinder. So we're going to throw on some eye protection now. Some people are a little nervous about using gloves with a rotary tool in general. Generally, the most safety important thing to do when it comes to safety is make sure to keep an eye out in your manual what your recommendation is. In this case, we're gonna show this off here just with the eye protection, particularly for my dexterity, as I have to show things off on camera here. So on the back of the head right here, we have our power switch, and that's how we're going to power everything on here. So we can power on the grinder here very quickly, very easily. By switching that on, you can hear things power up there. You've got that nice LED light right there that turns on, as well as that nice little window shade right here. Now, what this does is it helps protect our eyes from any grindings flying back at us. And I'm just going to cross over right here, and you can see here, and this is really what you want to see. As you bring this down, you really don't have to worry about anything here. Everything has been set up for you. You've set yourself up for success here with that setup in general. Everything's locked down. And we're just going to bring this over, and you're going to see that little bit of grind there. That's it. All you have to do is do that until you've bottomed out on your depth stop over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grind slowly. We don't need to go fast. All right, there we go. And what we'll do is we'll turn this off right here. I'm going to bring this up close to the camera here because I want folks to see what that sort of fresh grind looks like in the tooth there. So we're going to pick that out here. Let's get up nice and close right here. So you can see on the inside of that tooth, just a little bit there, that there is a shinier part than the rest here. So in this tooth specifically here, oh, I'm trying to focus behind me here. All right, let's see. Let's get nice and close there. I'm trying to use the little viewfinder here. So you can see that there is, and let me grab the Sharpie here as well. There we go. So right in here, you can see, or we'll try and get you to see there, as I'm trying to do this very close up here. All right. All right, every time I get this in focus, I'm standing in the way of my own monitor here. All right, so you can see right in there. Now, this little section right over here that's quite shiny, you can see right below it's quite dull underneath there. That is the sign of a newly sharpened surface. That area that's quite shiny, I just marked that up in black marker right there. And the reason that I did that is what you can do is you can actually use that black marker as a guide there now. One, because I'm going to use this as the tooth that I go back to. And two, because you can see right there, that black marker is where I've hit with the grinding wheel, which means that I've hit the top part right up here, and I haven't quite gotten all the way to the bottom there, but that's okay, because we don't need to clean all that up. We really just want this part up here to be really sharp, and that's what we've accomplished by doing that. And that includes underneath here. This is this part right underneath here, underneath sort of the hood of that tooth. That is also something that we wanted to sharpen up there. So we've really hit all of that on this tooth here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing that for the rest of the teeth there. And because I've marked that one with marker, I know that I don't have to do this one again. Now, the other thing that you can do here on this is you can always just hit on the top of it. You can always just put like a little X on top there with your marker there, so you always know that that's one that you don't need to hit again there. All right. Uh, Electric scooter in the chat there. Let's see. When I buy the mower, will it be fully assembled? Assembled. Yeah. So for the 21LM, all you have to do there are two pins that you have to put in for the handle, and that's all that you have to do to assemble it. So very very easy to assemble. Otherwise, it's fully assembled. So it's just a couple of handle locks, and otherwise it's fully assembled. And I know you were asking if there are any in store. Again, you can check, you can use that where to buy section there to see if there are any in store near you with any of our retail partners there. All right, now I'm going to put this back here. Now, this is going to show off one other thing about chainsaw sharpening that's sort of important to note, that we only do things for one side at a time here. So we've done it for this tooth here. Now this tooth, which is the next tooth in line, faces the other way. So we can't necessarily sharpen this tooth with this setup. We're going to do that. We're going to do that in a second setup here. And of course, normally when you're doing this, you're not spending the time between to explain everything. You are just sharpening. So you've gotten that once you've hit that point where you're sharpening this tooth, you're sharpening the rest of that side almost immediately. Now what we have to do here though is we're going to pull our next tooth through, and eventually we're going to switch to the other side here. So got my chain stop dropped, my chain stop dropped like that. This is the tooth that I marked here because that's the tooth that we sharpened. I'm going to pull through one tooth facing the wrong way. So we're going to go second tooth facing the correct way now. And then I'm going to lock this in place just like this. So it's as simple as that. Throw my eye protection back on while we're grinding this up here. And now we're going to continue to do that until every single tooth on that side, until I get back to the tooth that I've marked there. So power this up here. It's going to grind through. Seeing sparks is a good thing, because seeing sparks means that you're actually contacting the metal. So now we've made it down to the bottom there. Now you don't want to push too hard on this. You want to let the tool do its work there. So I'm going to pull this through to the next one. You don't always have to do this with all the explanation in between there, but that's how we like to do it here, to make sure that everyone knows exactly what we're talking about there. Now make sure when you get to the next tooth, now once you've pulled through, you pull back on the chain, and then it's nice and tight up against there. That's your reference locking place there, so that when you lock this in place, you know that you're hitting that same spot again. I'll pull this down here. There we go. And we'll pull this on to the next one here. Just leaving things on for speed here. And we'll do this for this entire side here. And you see how quick this goes. This is nice and fast right here. Now imagine having to do all of this by hand with a file. That's traditionally how people do it. Or imagine having to spend so much on paying someone else to do this all the time for you. There we go. Can really see how easy this is to do and how quick it is to keep your chainsaw nice and sharp. This is one of those things, that just goes so quickly and so easily when you have the right tool set up. There we go. Oh, and look at that. We're back to the tooth that I've marked, meaning that all of the teeth on this side are perfectly sharpened. So this is really, really quick at the end of the day. When it comes to sharpening your chainsaw chain, this is a lot faster than getting in there by hand. This is a lot faster than having to go down to the home center and hand them a chain there. It's really just as simple as push, just making sure that you're getting to full depth there. And of course, when you're doing this more consistently, you're going to get, this is going to be one of those things that becomes very, very quick for you. Again, a lot of times, I'm spending a lot of time here explaining everything in between, but essentially it just goes bing, bang, boom, as soon as you get out there and get things sharpened up here. So it's going to be one of those things that's going to become very second nature to everyone there. So we've done half of it. Now all we have to do is the second half, and it's essentially exactly the same process. Once again, I'm going to bring the other tooth that I'm going to be looking to sharpen here. I'm going to make just a different mark on the top of this tooth right here, so I know exactly which one that is. And of course, now I'm going to bring this around to the other angle that I'm aiming for here, and it's going to be as simple as me matching that up. There we go, and you're going to see how fast this can go right here. Just match that up there, making sure I'm at depth here. So make this a little bit shallower there. Oh. There we go. Lock that into place there. Gonna make sure my depth stop holds everything in the right section here. Usually the depth stop will sort of align or the chain stop will align for both sides. So you don't really need to worry as much about resetting it. This one happened to work pretty much perfectly here for this chain. Just like that. I'm going to budge it just forward, just ever so slightly there. So it's right up against there. Lock that in place. Lock this in place. And now I'm ready to go for this side. So let's take a look. This is nice and easy right here. Oh, and it looks like we're back to the start here. So very, very quick. So this is a really, really nice thing here to very quickly get things sharpened up there. And you can see now, now that I've done both sides here, we're ready to throw this back into the chainsaw here. We've got all those freshly sharpened teeth here. So this is nice and razor sharp right there. And once again, we can take a close look here. Just take a quick close look once again here at these teeth. I'm going to go up to our camera over here, and I want you to take a look at the difference, or the look of these teeth here, because these have that nice different grind angle sharpened to them here. So let's get nice and close in there, so you can see there we've got that fresh. Look at that ray of light that shines at the top of the tooth there. I know this is quite small here, but that ray of light that shines at the top of the tooth there, that right there. That is that freshly sharpened surface. So this is razor sharp here. This is giving you a lot of cutting capability here with this chainsaw sharpener. So now you can throw this back onto your chain or back onto your bar there to get your shot working perfectly. Now, here's a couple of things that we could talk about in terms of the angles that you see on there. Remember, I talked about this giving you all the way up to 35 degrees in both directions here with this. The different setups for your angles here, as you move this left and right here, and this chain was set up for 30 and 30, so 30 degrees in both directions there that I set this up there. So you can actually see that down there. We can actually set this up in both directions here. So 30 degrees either way. Now, the shallower the angle is, the more close to what we call parallel it is. So the tooth like this, so this has an angle this way. The more parallel it is, the more perpendicular it is this way, the tougher it is going to pull as it cuts. So a lot of times folks out there who are doing any lumber milling, they're going to use something called a ripping chain. That's filed to about 10 degrees there, ground to about 10 degrees. So that's going to be, instead of all the way over here at 30 degrees, it's going to be at 10 degrees right there. And the reason that you don't want to mess around with that, and the reason that I say if you like the way that your chainsaw is cutting, to keep the grind that you have, is because that's going to be what's comfortable to you. You're going to feel, what it feels like the way it pulls on you as you're cutting, because that chainsaw is pulling as it spins this around. So you want to make sure that you are always feeling the same thing as you're doing that work. You're feeling comfortable while you're doing it there. So that's why I tend to like to copy the grind angles there by using the disc as a guide there. So that's sort of my tip about that. If you start adjusting it, you're going to feel different things while you're cutting with it. And unless you want different results, like again, if you're using it to mill lumber or anything like that, then you're going to have that capability to really control that there. So really easy setup with this chainsaw sharpener. I love how quick that was. Again, remember, think about it this way. The other way to do this is by hand the file, which it's going to take you forever, particularly if you're out there in the woods. Now, when you're out there in the woods, this is cordless. This whole system right here is cordless. Sometimes what I like to do when I take this out there is I'll just throw it in a tool pouch, or usually what I do is I have a little carry bag of all the equipment that I need when I'm out there in the woods, trimming things up, cutting things down, and stuff like that. So having this on hand here like that really makes it, having this on hand there with me like that really makes it easy, because what I can do is I can take that same 24-volt battery that I'm using for my chainsaw, I can plug that into the sharpener here, I can sharpen things up quickly, I go back and forth very, very quickly. So I absolutely love that. Really love the setup, the easy setup that you have right here with this chainsaw sharpening system here. Now, it's fun to be able to show that off. I'm going to talk about a couple other things to chainsaw sharpening here. If you're enjoying this, be sure to, like our content right here. If you're hanging out on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you're watching on if you're watching on TikTok, be sure to tap those hearts. We do appreciate it from everyone out there. And of course, don't forget to subscribe or to follow us here. If you're on TikTok, go ahead and follow us at Snow Joe Co. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are the Go with Joe channel here from Snow Joe here. So here's one other thing that I do want to take a quick look at when it comes to sharpening your chain, because this is an important little factor right here, and that has to do with these other rakers here, what's called the rakers next to your teeth here in general. So let's just take a quick look at this tooth here. And this is one thing that you do have to go in with a hand file to do. And this is, it's a little thing, but it's important to do. You don't have to do it all the time. In fact, actually, it takes quite a while before you really have to do it. But let's just take a look at those teeth right there on the chain right over here that I'm holding up. So you can see right here on the chain that we have a couple of different parts. This is the tooth that we sharpened over here on this end, the shiny bit right here. That is what we just sharpened here. This guy right here, as well as this part right here, are both raker pits. So this raker up front here can't be taller than the tooth itself. So if we pull this all the way down here, you can actually see that that little shark fin up there can't be taller than the tooth itself, and it's not. But when you sharpen this enough times, eventually this tooth will get short enough that this needs to be trimmed down. And you just take a flat file on top of that and you just trim it down just like that. So very, very easy to do that. Same thing with this bit right here. This bit is also a raker, and we just want to make sure that that raker is not taller than anything else. And eventually, as you use your chain, things will get so low that the flat rakers over here can get filed just a little bit. They can't get filed too much. You can file them a little bit there. You don't really want to file this too much. Essentially, once the tooth is lower than that, then that's going to be too low to use anymore. So that's sort of one of those things that I just want to let people know about when it comes to your chainsaw chains. That's when you've overground. That's when you've gone too far, or when, more importantly, most likely you've used the chain a lot. You've cut a lot of stuff up with your chainsaw, and you're ready to and you're ready to invest in a new chain. And new chains are always available. Particularly for our saws, we have chains available at snowjoe.com there. Now, one of the other tricks that I'll tell you right here is you can go over every single tooth, for example, with a Sharpie, just like I had right here. Get into those areas and put that little Sharpie mark on there, and you can get that nice little indicator for making sure that you're getting all of the grinding done on the inside, just like we kind of showed off when I marked the inside of the tooth, the Sharpie there. This is just another tip for everyone out there. You can always Sharpie up and always make sure that you mark the inside of that tooth. Make sure you're getting that full grind as needed there. That's a little tip for everyone in general. But yeah, it's really all you need is is the grinder, a Sharpie, the battery, and a chainsaw chain to get sharp there. Oh, I see Robo Punch in the chat there. It's my birthday today. Congratulate, happy birthday to you. Appreciate you saying that. Happy birthday to you, and thank you for joining us here for our little chainsaw sharpening demonstration. Hopefully, you're getting a chainsaw for your birthday. But yeah, welcome into the chat there. Welcome to the show here. We're gonna reassemble our saw right here. So I've got all the bits and bobs to the saw here, and I've got the bar right there. I've got the cap right there. I've got the nuts and bolts there. Of course, I've got our little wrench over here. We can assemble this very easily here. So the way that you want to do this here, and again, this is actually probably the best time to wear gloves when you're dealing with this, because you're dealing with that chain by itself. So we're going to throw on some gloves, and because that chain is a little sharp, this is a really, really easy way to make sure that you don't accidentally nick yourself while you're dealing with the chain, particularly if you just freshly sharpened it. And particularly if you're working with your chainsaw out in the yard and garden, you're going to have gloves on you as well. So this is an easy time to wear them. So we'll throw on some gloves here. We do want to make sure that our chain is facing the correct way when we place it back on the bar. So as you can see right here, the teeth will all face, and the way I like to think of it is they all point this way. So you can see on the bar right there, and it is marked on the side of the bar. There is a little marking that gives you the direction. So you can see right there, that directionality right there. Pointing in this direction here, and you can see all the little teeth right there. See how they point that way? They're like a thumb going that way. That's exactly what you're looking for. So that's how you want to drop that on there. And you can see those those bits there that connect to the sprocket. Those drop into the gap in your bar and chain, just like they did in the vise for the chainsaw sharpeners. They slot in just like that. Now we can pull that chain tight. Pull it back tight. So this is the front of the bar right here. There's a little spinner up the front there. The little gap right here indicates the back. We're going to pull this tight, sort of pull that back up against that. So we've got that space there. Now we're going to bring this down to the sprocket here, and this is where the gloves really play an important part. I like to hold the whole chain and bar assembly just like so, to hold everything in place there. Going down to the sprocket right here, we're going to assemble everything back up, and we're going to fit this back to this chainsaw over here. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. Now, just for this is how I like to get started here. The first thing is we need to engage the chain into the sprocket. So we pull the chain back over the sprocket bits here. Make sure the teeth in the chain fall into that, and then we can flop this over here. And essentially, what I'm looking to try and do is this hole needs to engage with the pin that's below there, and that pin may or may not be in the right place here. So on our tool right here, on our little wrench here on the back, is a little flathead screwdriver. And on the inside of the head of the chainsaw right there is a little slot for it. And you can see it's not letting everything sit nice and flush here. So what I can do is I can loosen this up here and adjust things so that everything can pop back into place. So adjust things back right there. Pretty simple with this. All we have to do is thread to the left here. That's sort of the general rule there, lefty loosey, righty tighty. We're loosening up the action of the chain here. So we're almost there. A couple more turns here. You can, of course, do this with a regular screwdriver if you want. But there we go. That should give us just enough reach here. And you see how that pin now slides through that hole. So slide everything into place right there. Make sure that everything is properly aligned here in general. And then what I like to do is I just like to hold everything there, and I can slide this back in here, and I can tighten things back up here. Now, I see electric scooter in the chat there. Yes, you can buy the electric. You can buy the cordless one. Sorry, from Home Depot. That's awesome. Glad that that's what you're planning to do there. It does come once again. So the way that they come in terms of the assembly is that they're going to come essentially fully assembled. The only thing that you have to do is attach the handle, and it's literally 2 bolts. So very quick and easy assembly. You don't have a ton to do. How should I say? It doesn't look like reassembling this chainsaw. Actually, this chainsaw does come pretty much assembled right out of the box there. So even with this, you don't have to worry about it. Now we can fit the cover back on here. Slides right back on like that. Take both of our lock nuts over here. Thread these on by hand here until they're nice and tight. And then I can lock them in place with the wrench there. And now we have a freshly sharpened chainsaw in our hands here, ready to go, ready to tackle all that lumber there that we've got in the yard here. So make that nice and tight. Make this nice and tight. Got everything properly tensioned up here. Let me check the tension on that chain there. That's pretty much good. It's going to expand a little bit when I start cutting with it. So hopefully that'll loosen it up just a bit there. And now we're ready to get out there and get cutting with the saw. So definitely easy to get out there with this and get a lot of stuff done. So that's some quick school there on how to sharpen your chainsaw. That's pretty much, that's not everything, but that's a lot to know about sharpening your chainsaws out there. I can tell you, having worked as an arborist myself, that there's a myriad of information when it comes to the chainsaw sharpening community. It's one of those things, there's a lot of different information out there, and a lot of it can be helpful, but I wanted to get a nice, simple, practical guide for everyone out there to easily sharpen things up, particularly when it comes to using a chainsaw grinder like this. Our chainsaw sharpener just does absolute quick work of this, as you can tell, really gets you out there sharpened up quickly and efficiently. So that's something that we love to be able to show off here. One more from Electric Scooter here. Does it give you the tools to assemble it? Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, whatever whatever tool you buy from the Snow Joe Sun Joe lineup, we're always going to make sure that you have everything that you need in the box ready to go, so that you can get out there and do the work. So in the case of that lawnmower there, you bet you're going to have everything that you need in the box to get things going. In fact, actually, the way that the handles assemble, it's really just like I said, it's a couple of bolts, but one of the bolts has a handle on it already, and the other bolt sort of wraps itself around the handle and sort of holds itself in place. So very easy to assemble. It's literally screwing in 2 things, lock them in place, and you are good to go. So I promise you're gonna have a pretty easy time getting that together. It's a very seamless, seamless assembly there for that lawnmower. Alrighty, so great setup that we've had here today. Great to be able to talk about this chainsaw. Great to be able to talk about our chainsaw sharpener. Great to be able to show off how to sharpen a chainsaw. I hope I answered a lot of folks' questions out there. If anyone out there has been wondering about their chainsaw, about their chains, about how to keep things sharp, why is it so expensive to keep buying new chains? You don't have to worry about it anymore. You have a great way right now, right here, to sharpen up. You can find the chainsaw sharpener at snowjoe.com. We do have that. We do have the code in the description here. So you can hop over to snowjoe.com. You can take a look for this chainsaw sharpener. It does come with, you can get it with a 24-volt battery and charger. That way, if you do have one of our saws, you can power up the saw and get that extra battery and charger to keep powering things up. Or, for example, you could just take the battery that comes in your 24-volt chainsaw and power up the charger there when you go out there. Now, electric scooter, how long do we charge the batteries for? It just depends on the capacity of the battery. So, for example, for the 4 amp hour batteries, it'll be about a little under 2 hours, give or take, depending on how much. If they're fully empty, that's sort of like the 0 to full charge time on them. And if they're if not, it's going to take less than that. Of course, can you leave the lawnmower out in the rain? My recommendation is to not leave the lawnmower out in the rain. There is a rain cap for the battery compartment in there, but it is not designed to be fully waterproof. So we do not recommend you leave the lawnmower out in the rain. It is designed to be parked inside. And this one does come with a metal chassis, and the chassis is, it does have protection on it in terms of a paint and lacquer. But yes, it's not designed to be left out in the rain. But thank you for asking the question, and I was glad I was able to answer that for you. I know I think I missed. I think you had another. I think you asked that before, and I think I just missed it in the chat there, and I didn't get a chance to go back. But I appreciate you asking that again there. Alrighty, folks. So I hope everyone out there enjoyed our little tool school here. We loved being able to do this. Hopefully, we're able to do more and more of these. I can't wait to share more and more knowledge with you. Electric Scooter, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us here for this live stream. Thank you so much to everyone out there for joining us here. If you enjoy what we're talking about here, throw in those likes. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that like. We really do appreciate it. We want to see those hearts floating around there. We also really appreciate everyone out there who follows our channels here. So, for example, on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the Go With Joe channel. On TikTok, make sure you're following us at Snow Joe Co. Vice versa, too. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on TikTok, go to the other one. Give us the follow. We do appreciate that. We really appreciate being able to get the chance here to put out some great content for you and help you folks out. Whatever the questions that you have, we're here to answer. We're to help you out to make sure that you're getting the best experience with every single tool out there, keeping your lawn, keeping your garden looking absolutely gorgeous. So thank you so much to everyone out there. Let us know in the comment section. Let us know in the chat what you want to see. We love hearing from you. In general, we want to hear from you. So thanks so much for letting us give you a little rundown here on our 24-volt chainsaw sharpener. Definitely check it out at snowjoe.com. Check out this chainsaw. Check out the lawnmower that I was talking to Electric Scooter in the chat about today. Check it all out at snowjoe.com. All right, folks, thank you so much. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe and follow either at the Go With Joe channel on YouTube or Snow Joe Co. here on TikTok as well. Appreciate you so much, folks, and can't wait to do it again. All right, folks, we'll see you all at the next one.